Hey there, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green. Next weekend is Jeremiah Harris's big carnivorous plant open house get together in Colorado Springs. And this year I'm gonna bring a little display. I'm gonna bring my skull here with my Pinguicula kind of colonized all over it. And this won't be for sale, it'll just be for display, like ideas, things people do. But then I also have gotten one of my friends is a potter, ceramicist, and he I think he slip cast these little skulls, and I planted Pinguicula in them. And I'm gonna take them to the show and see if people wanna buy them. I've got quite a few, I think about 10 or 11 of them. And I'm not quite sure what price to put on them, but we'll see. We'll see if people wanna buy those. I just potted these last night, so hopefully a week from now they'll look a little bit more settled in. But yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. Machu Picchu's got two lovely flowers in here. And you can see they're all working on additional flower buds pushing out there. We've got a new flower spike just now growing out. We've got lots of new little growths in there as well pushing up. So that's exciting. My Clowesias pulchella. This is a plant that I found some scale on a few weeks ago. Finally see some root growth in the pot, which is really exciting. Look at that. And we've got some pretty decent growth. It's growing pretty quickly, I think, here. So it's definitely large enough to bloom, and I'm hoping that it might decide that it would like to bloom at some point in the near future. Don't know anything about bloom season or anything like that. All I know, it's a Central American cool growing cloud forest orchid. My brassicas are slowly working on their newest growths. This one seems to be finishing up, kind of doing some weird stuff here, like a bulb inside of a bulb, but just the first bulb after one bulb division, so I think we're going to be okay after that one. But you can see roots are everywhere. And my Zygopetalum maculatum, I removed a lot of the dead, dried up leaves at the bottom, and it does seem to be finally pushing up the bulbs on these two new growths. So yeah, I am just gonna, still don't know how it's doing really. I mean, it does seem to be dropping lower leaves. I don't know if it's because of fertilizer or water, but just kind of a big experiment, seeing if this plant will grow and bloom. But I can say that there's not a lot of spotting on the leaves, and that's a pretty good thing. With Zygopetalum, you often get spots. So some of the older leaves have spots, but the newer ones not so spotty. So I think that's a good thing. And yeah, so since I found scale a few weeks ago, I've just got to kind of check everything very frequently to see if I see any scale on there. All right, let's go look in the big tent where there are so many things in bud or bloom or spike. It's an explosion. All right, so the big tent, we're gonna have to move kind of quickly because there are so many things to show you. We'll start back here with Cattleya maxima ceruleus. It's got two sheaths, and we're starting to see buds push up in the very bottom of those sheaths. Here we've got Cattleya labiata with a nice sheath on it. These are supposed to bloom in the autumn, so September, October, November, we might be looking for something to push up into that sheath. Right here we've got Cycnoches cooperi, bronze, and you can see that I am using some floral wire to adjust it, or to keep the two spikes from getting from interfering with one another, basically to push them apart. Over here we've got fire embers, also with some fluorowire manipulating the spikes somewhat. Hopefully all three of those are going to come out and look fantastic. Over here we've got the furthest along. This is Cycnoches cooperi copper, and it's looking, compared to last year, to have a few more flowers than it did last year. And the Denver Orchid Society show is September 13th and 14th, so a little less than a month away. We might be right on track to having this plant in full bloom for the show. That'll be awesome. Really excited about that. Over here we've got Cycnoches bronze Vixen working on its spike. It's a little bit behind the others. That's pretty typical for this one. It's going to bloom a little bit later in the season, maybe in October. Right behind it we've got Bulbophyllum medusae Miami. The spikes are slowly but surely pushing out. And I'm not quite sure how the timing's going to go, but this plant may also be ready for, be in time for the September show. It might bloom before that. Like this one already looks to be stretching. But yeah, I can be hopeful. It would be lovely to have this. I never see medusae in a show because the flowers are so short-lived. But if it were to open in time, that would be amazing. Back here is my other Bulbophyllum medusae. This is a white clone, and you can see a spike down here. And there are a few more. There's one right there. There's a few in here as well, kind of hiding. So I think we're going to get at least 4 or 5 blooms off that this year, which is great. Obviously, for the number of leaves, you'd think that it would have more, but several of them have bloomed previously, and we're still figuring out this new environment. My larger basket here, we've got some spikes pushing out on Bulbophyllum lepidum, and I expect to see a lot more over the coming month or two because we've got a lot of growths that are just now completing, and they typically will bloom right after they complete their new growth. So I'm looking forward to that. We should get a really nice flush of growth on that, or blooms. Bulbophyllum lovely Elizabeth has pushed out quite a bit in the last week, but again, this plant may be ready for the Denver show. 1 month might be exactly what that needs to be bloomed out, and that one lasts a little longer. It lasts about a week. Right in front of it we've got Phalaenopsis philippinensis with 2 cute little buds here, and these are supposed to be white flowers with really yellow lobes on the side. So looking forward. Those look like they're getting close to popping open. Right in front of it, Pinguicula cyclosecta with a beautiful long-lasting flower. We also have some little Pinguicula snow angel plants here. Not quite as showy, but still cute little flowers. My Bulbophyllum catenulatum, I got up too late to catch it. This blooms out in the morning, and then by noon it starts to close up. So you can see that there's not much left to see. It's all closed up. It might open up one more time tomorrow before it's done. Here we've got Vanda falcata, Haksan, open again, blooming a second time this summer with evening fragrance and beautiful white flowers. And this plant was awarded AM a couple years ago, 3 years ago, I think. Last week I offered a division of this Bulbophyllum rothschildianum red chimney, and congratulations to the person who got it. And it was shipped off and apparently arrived in good condition, so look forward to growing this one out, getting some blooms on it. Don't expect it to bloom this fall, but it could, really could. But I've just got it potted in a tall pot because they do kind of get unruly. The bottom layer is granite rocks, and then I've got some big chunky bark up here, just because the plant was kind of a mess and I wanted to get as much of it with some kind of contact in the bark. So we'll see. I gave it a insecticidal soap treatment because it did come from someone else's collection, and I may give it another treatment next week. Right now it's in a situation where it's not touching any other plants, but as we all know, if there are any little mites or bugs on there, they can move around and get on other stuff pretty fast. And some upcoming excitement. It looks like my Clowesias are really getting nice and big. Look at that bulb on Rebecca Northern Aurora, and then 3 smaller bulbs here. Grapefruit pink, 4 really nice sized bulbs. And then Mikabe, look at this, biggest bulb Mikabe's ever produced, and then 3 smaller ones. So I'm really hoping that we do get something out of Mikabe this year, and I will definitely give it a mite treatment of insecticidal soap right before the spikes start emerging. So right when I start to see the spikes bulging at the sides, which hopefully that is not that, no. But I will give it a treatment because mites have eaten the flowers on that plant for the last 2 years. A little disappointment, this was my new hybrid Clowesias margolis, and the new growth just rotted at the base and came off last week. I was really sad about that. I don't know if I just kept it too wet, or it wasn't getting enough air circulation, but yeah, I think that might... There's still a little bit of life left in this bulb, but it may... I don't know if it has enough strength to try to push out another growth this late in the season. I do expect it to try if it can, though. And, well, that's all we're going to look at today. I don't want to take up any more of your time. But thanks for stopping by, checking out My Green Pets. So excited after a summer, basically, you know, May, June, July, April, May, June, July, around in there, just there's nothing, you know, it's just growth. And now everything's starting to push into bloom, so it's super exciting. I still haven't given up hope on my Cattleya dowiana rosita. There seems to be some space here in this new growth for something to push up. So we're going to keep our eye on it and see. Could get lucky and could see something push out of there. I'm not going to give up until it's definitively not going to bloom. Alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Bye.